Dear Mama, we carry history in our womb and we create history in our womb. These are the words of our guest, Sister Midwife Nicole Deggins. The stats on Black maternal health are not our legacy and don't have to be our destiny. This isn't a long intro because this episode is packed and we want you to jump right in. We go from why it's important to live the Hello Fresh, Fluff and Fold life to expanding the work of Black maternal health and why doulas make a difference. You have a few more days to sign up for Sister Midwife's doula training in Los Angeles, California. It's going to be lit, y'all. Check our show notes for the registration link. As always, thanks for rocking with us. Don't just listen, subscribe, and follow us on all social media platforms at Dim Black Mamas Podcast so you won't miss an episode. Please keep emailing us, keep engaging with us through social media comments, your reviews, and SoundCloud comments. Keep sharing us, even if it's only with one other person. If you're a new listener, welcome to the ride. Invest in us by becoming a DBM patron, buying merch, or giving a one-time donation through PayPal. For full show notes, check our website, dimblackmamas.com. Now, let's get free, y'all, and jump into episode 28 of
Dim Black Mamas.
Welcome back to the ride. I am Crystal Tennille Irby, mother of 4, 3 boys and 1 girl.
And I am Thea Monyee, mother of 3 girls.
And I am Nikki Killings, mother of 4 girls.
And we have a very, very special guest. You know, I'm always super duper excited about our guests because we rarely have guests, but when we have guests,
we have
yes.
It's true. We be coming through.
Yeah, we come through. So come on. Our guests, introduce yourself.
Yes. My name is Nicole Deggins, also known as Sister Midwife, and I am the mother of 1 daughter.
Thanks for the babies.
Yes, we are really, really excited to have you. So Nicole is going to be joining us today. We are co-sponsoring a doula training with Nicole in LA, November 8th through the 10th and November 15th through the 18th. So the training is 2 weekends. She's known throughout the country
yes.
for her trainings, a wonderful, wonderful midwife. So we're so excited to be hosting the doula training with her and to offer this opportunity to create more Black birth workers. I think sometimes we get bogged down in the statistics of Black maternal health and we don't talk enough about solutions. And so this is our way of offering a solution. But we'll get more into that later. Thank you all for listening to our previous episode, The Upper Room.
Girl.
We've been getting some great...
We've been getting hit up. Y'all been hitting us up like Tupac.
We've been getting really, really hit up. We appreciate it. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for comments and just letting us know that you're feeling what we're doing and that not only are you feeling it, but you're able to apply it to your life. And what people really want to know about is ancestral
spiritual technology. Look at Nicole shaking her head. Spiritual technology.
Everything. Oh.
Yeah, I had to stop the presses when you said it, boo. I had to pause for the call.
DJ Khaled. We need a horn.
So at the end of theory from now on, I'll say, we the best.
Oh, there you go. Can you do it like that each time though? Because that seemed like it came from like the answer.
Yeah, it has to come from deep. Like that's how he says it. It comes from deep.
So that's that.
I am going to share one comment from our Instagram. When Thea spoke about hiding her practice at home, that part spoke to me the most. I used to keep my altar in my closet for fear of what people would say. My husband talked some sense into me about not hiding who I am. I now have it in my sunroom, and my children are able to see and experience the practice. I also finally took charge of my diet. I'm mostly plant-based. My energy and mood have changed so much. I no longer have a thyroid, so I deal with a lot. Just changing my diet has helped me so much. Well, that was one of our comments, but the ancestral spiritual technology is just really...
We're going to go there. If people want to go there, we're going to go there.
That terminology, when it came through, ancestral spiritual technology, that just was like,
We had like technology is new.
Yeah, right.
Like,
right.
There's spiritual tech and there's ancient ancestral spiritual tech. So it's levels to this. You know, we talk about the new iPhone, that's tech, but that tech is built on that tech. This was before people even thought of these things as religions. If you think about the scientific method, it starts with hypothesis and observation, right? So this is what people did for thousands of years to develop their practice of interacting between this world and the spiritual world. And we don't want to qualify that as tech. We had like, that's not science, right? So it's just, I mean, we got to do something on this for sure, because the hypocrisy is just blinding. like you can apply it and they created it. And I'm tired of people just like remixing ancestral stuff as their own.
Yeah.
It's not new.
That's one of those episodes you can listen to again and again and get something new from it. I just heard it yesterday. I was like listening for a passage that we posted a snippet of, and I was like, let me hear that passage again, and ended up hearing the whole thing again because it was continuing to resonate with me in a different way, in a new place than I am today versus where I was when we first recorded it. So, hey, listen, honey, it has some life. That particular episode has longevity. Go back, hit it up again if you haven't listened to it since the first time.
I mean, I think some people they develop a deeper relationship with Jesus after that episode.
Ancestral spiritual technology, and like Nicole said, the words, we never ever say those words together.
Yeah, and I think it brought it to a simplicity almost too, where you could like touch it. Because it's like, the technology makes you think of skills, makes you think concrete, whereas often when we're talking about ancestral work, it's so abstract and so esoteric, so you feel disconnected from it. But when you put it in that way, it's like, like biology, like just concrete. And that's what I loved about it.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's part of the difference when we don't translate these things. We in the West have categorized things as though they are separate from each other. But you have to imagine living during that time when these things were very integrated. Tech wasn't separate from spirit, and spirit wasn't separate from the physical. All these things coexisted within each other in a very integrated fashion, like a braid. There's no separate term for what this is. Your cooking is spiritual. That's alchemy, right? So everything is spiritualized. And so it's not the separate thing, like you were saying. Like, it's not like we have to put it in a different category. It just is what it is. When you observe nature, you see it every day.
It's true.
The example that I always give with that is that we in the West, astronomy is studied, versus in other cultures, astrology is studied. And astrology is about our connection to the universe. Astronomy is about the stars. It's like separate. It's separate from us, which really leads to a mentality of, oh, how can I master? How can I conquer this?
And which one do they feel is more valid? When people talk about astrology, people start to say, oh, that's,
right.
But when they talk about astronomy, now suddenly it's a serious topic. Right.
Yeah. And like you said, it's always been there. And if you just really think about it, like, our bodies are 80% water. And if the moon controls the tides of the ocean, how can
none of these
the position
things
of the moon
play
not have some impact on our bodies if it's 80% water? People don't want to talk about it, but Easter is based.
Ooh, girl, don't upset the saints. Don't upset the saints.
Well, I didn't do it. The Catholic Church did.
We didn't do it.
But yeah, so we just had a lot of feedback on that. And so we thank you all for listening. If you haven't listened, we urge you to go listen to that episode because it's really, really, really powerful. So now we're getting into our church announcements.
Prepare yourself, Nicole.
And prayer list requests. So I have to sign.
Here you go, Nicole. Just prepare yourself.
Hello, beloveds. Here are this episode's church announcements and prayer list request. Take it in. Y'all feel it?
You gotta tell them to breathe. Breathe, beloveds. Breathe.
I need to send that little snippet to Ayala to see if she really feels like I'm channeling.
Okay.
Can you CC me? when you send it?
I will. You know I'm bold like that. When people don't respond back to my emails, I'd be like, they probably didn't get it. I don't even
imagine. She doesn't even imagine that they were like.
I don't even imagine that they said no. I'm like, they didn't get the email.
Yes, I need to do that.
Don't adopt any of Crystal's ways. Don't do it.
That could change my life. That could change my
in
life.
ways you have not imagined.
So my church announcement.
Oh, okay. Loud.
Number one, Nikisha had the baby because we haven't recorded, so we haven't announced that yet.
There's a baby.
So
There's a baby here.
It's a whole baby. It's a whole baby. Yes, ma'am.
So beautiful.
And I did not have a back alley birth. I did not do that.
Yes.
It was legit.
Oh, I remember that part of the show.
It was legitimate. It was a medical facility. It was all on the up and up. The doctor was licensed. Everybody had their current licenses in place, and yeah, it was legal.
Was it healing? Do you feel like it closed the loop because you had, so many negative experiences? Did it kind of help to heal from some of those negative past experiences?
In so many ways.
Oh, I
can't wait to get it down. I need to write it. I can't wait to get it out. But the process, the experience, everything about it was healing and closed the loop on so much trauma.
You do need to write that, Nikisha, because, we work in Black maternal health. We hear the really bad stories, but we also need to let people know what it looks like to recover from and how people can repair those situations.
Yes.
And a story of repair would be amazing.
I like that, a story of repair. And also because you had a C-section, and we don't hear enough of how those births are still a birth and can be still
ritualized.
Indeed.
Right, and can still be healing. And this was your first time having a doula. How was that?
Amazing. I think more than anything, I had the birth I chose to have. The birth I wanted. And that for me was a game changer. And I was only able to do that because I had this doula who supported me and was really my advocate and, everything I needed in the leading up to, during, and after.
I love it. And I'm so excited to hear that you had a doula, knowing that you were having a cesarean section, because people falsely think that doulas are only for someone who wants a natural birth. And it's like, no.
They're for all sorts of reasons, right?
And she was postpartum too, right?
She did. She just recently came and closed the loop on our experience.
And I'm going to tell y'all, listen, I'll let Nikisha tell her own story.
But
she put it on her, y'all.
She did. The
I was
last
like,
visit.
"Did you play a Keith Sweat?" I think somebody just... I felt like when Nikisha she was smoking a cigarette.
I mean, I don't want to give folks the wrong impression, Thea, but she came back and did a closing of the bones and a belly binding, wrapping ritual.
Did she come close my bones?
Honey.
That's what I was like, is it too late? My baby 5. Can I get my bones closed? Is it too late?
That's what she said. She said, I can't believe you not had this done with any of your previous births.
Well, I can believe it. It's old knowledge, but we're just now learning it. But those of us who are in the birth world, it's new for us as we bring it back. So I'm excited that you were able to experience. It reminds me, I have 2 mamas I need to go close.
Go close them, Nicole. Don't leave them out there like that. Go close them. I'm really glad that you had the birth that you chose, because that was really our prayer for you. So congratulations.
Okay, thank you, girl.
And my final announcement, by the time this episode airs, Dear Black Mamas will be in Houston, Texas, working with Project Row House on an art installation for Black maternal health. We are super excited. Project Row House is doing around 50 other installations. They reached out to us and asked us to do an installation, and the title of this round is Race, Health, and Motherhood. And so we'll be down there for 2 weeks setting up the installation, and then the installation opens on October 12th and it runs through February 2020. So y'all got time to get to Houston.
Come check us out.
To come see us. If you in Texas, you got time to come check it out. The title of our installation is Untamed Wound, Reclaiming Wonder Through Healing, Liberation, and Creativity.
Not wound.
Yeah, it's
not that one.
Wound. Yeah.
Untamed Wound.
So it opens October 12th and it runs through February 2020, and we'll be using ancestral, spiritual
Yes, we will.
technology.
It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit
throughout the installation. And just a little bit about Project Row House. Project Row Houses is a community platform that enriches lives through art with an emphasis on cultural identity and its impact on the urban landscape. They engage neighbors, artists, and enterprises in collective creative action to help materialize sustainable opportunities in marginalized communities. Project Row Houses occupies a significant footprint in Houston's historic Third Ward, one of the city's oldest African-American neighborhoods. The site encompasses 5 city blocks and houses 39 structures that serve as a home base to a variety of community enriching initiatives, art programs, and neighborhood development activities. And we're so grateful and so proud because we talk about motherhood, creativity, and liberation on this podcast all the time. And I just think that this opportunity is a manifestation of our intention. So we're super, super duper excited. So those are all of my announcements. Nikisha, Thea, Nicole?
Nicole's our guest.
I do have I think I have church announcements. Y'all know I'm new here, visitor.
Oh, go ahead. What are your church announcements?
I'm super excited. So as you mentioned, I'm coming to Los Angeles. I have a scholarship.
Okay.
So I'm super excited. I am looking for a hostess, if you will, when I come to LA. Someone who can help me out a little bit with my transportation from the airport, can also help all of the training days. If you want to take my training and you have the ability to help me out in getting things done during the training and the day before and pick me up from the airport, or maybe even pieces of this thing, holla at me and let's talk about it. smpdoula@gmail.com. And in the subject heading, put scholarship Los Angeles, and we'll send you some stuff. And we need help, and we want you to be able to come to the training if you need help to do that. And
that is valuable, honey. I want to be your hostess now. Listen, if I didn't have all these kids, I'd be driving you anywhere you want. We'd be at Stamps, Costco. Somebody please take her up on this offer. That's huge.
Yeah, and I really like that. I really like, the barter. You know what I'm saying? I was telling you before, I don't think that we utilize that type of energy exchange enough. And in some ways, it's a little bit more valuable than the money. It's a higher level of energy exchange. Like, I'm picking you up from the airport. We can have conversations about so many things. So it's more than just transactional. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's really, really valuable. And I love that you offered that. So we'll make sure that we have all of that information in our show notes on our website. Check our show notes on our website for this episode, and all that information will be in there. So any more?
For Nicole, that's it? That's all you got, boo?
That's all I got. That's my announcements. I got all kind of prayer requests, but I'm not
You can throw on the prayer request, Nicole. You can throw on the prayer request.
So if it comes to you later, Nicole, we can put you on the prayer list. Okay, Nikisha?
Listen.
Nikisha's announcement, she had a baby.
I got her phone.
That's
it. I'm hardly alive. Like, I'm keeping these kids fed and alive, and we out here surviving.
So that's like prayer requests?
It's all in one.
It's all in one.
That's it. And I got this itty bitty baby that's on camera. And so there will be no appearances by me anytime soon, anywhere. That's my announcement. I'm very sorry. We busy out here trying to survive. I'm sorry.
Okay. And Thea.
I think my only announcement right now is GoDaddy, the website company, chose me to be a GoDaddy maker, which has been a really great experience, and came and filmed a piece about my work and what I'm into and what I'm doing. And so you can go to GoDaddy's Instagram, you can go to YouTube and find it. And I believe there'll be some stuff on the website soon. So that was really exciting. I had a really great experience with the GoDaddy team, and they were very inclusive of all the aspects of what I do, including my spiritual practice.
Thea was just so humble about the opportunity. We were talking on the phone one day, and she said, I'm going to get these free pictures and free video. I think it's, going to be great, so I don't have to pay for that. So that's good. And I was like, oh, who are you getting that from? And she was like, somebody at GoDaddy emailed me and said that they're doing pictures and videos. And I, emailed them back and said, I'd be happy to, do it. I was like, somebody from GoDaddy? What is it about? And she said, I don't know, something about makers. I was like, oh, like Aisha Curry on the website, makers, like that whole series? And she goes, oh, it's a series? Yeah, it's a series. It's like,
their staple thing that they're doing to change their brand right now. And she was like, oh, I thought it was just like a mass email they sent out, and I just made sure I answered. So, of course, I'm like, well, let me check my email to see if GoDaddy just sending out mass emails to folks offering videos and photo shoots, right? You know what I got from GoDaddy?
Mm-mm.
We just want to let you know that we've deducted your
monthly fee for your service.
hosting fee right now. So
I know, yeah. I didn't have any idea.
Yeah, she had no idea. I was like, yeah, this is major. This is
So
major. This is
We're so
major.
proud of you, dear. We're so proud. It's amazing.
Thank you so much.
It's really good. It's a really, really good video, and I think it just really captures like who you are. So we're really, really excited for your glow up. We're excited for the glow up.
It was a really good experience. I'm really happy about it. Thank you so much.
So, also, do you want to tell them about HelloFresh?
Yes. So, okay. Y'all know I'm all about sharing my life hacks. And I'm going to let y'all know I'm on a roll right now.
Okay.
Like, basically, here's my thing. You know, I prioritize joy and pleasure. If it will make my life easier, I'm going to pay for it. Every other week when I have to commute with my girls, it is egregious. Like, I have to get up at 6:40 a.m. I don't get home till like 7:30. It is like LA traffic is real. And like trying to do that and cook and all that stuff, like I literally haven't been grocery shopping. It's just been a mess. I ordered HelloFresh. Now, before I was like, I don't know how these foods gonna taste. I mean, you know how we are. Anything can be doctored up. But I was very happy. I ordered 3 meals. They have a family plan. So it was enough for 5 of us, even though it says 4.
Oh.
Are these Thea portions?
Crystal, don't do that. Because Thea portions are nutritional.
Thea's portions are the real portion size.
They're the real portion size. But some folks don't like real portions.
It's snacks for a lot of people.
It's snacks for some folks. So I will say that, okay? You know, you might want to add 2 more cups of jasmine rice if that's your shit. Okay, so the meat came pre-cut in package. You could just throw it in the freezer or in the fridge. All the veggies were fresh. The instructions, it's so cute. It comes with like a little card for each meal. What I realized is, I really still enjoy cooking. I thought I started hating cooking. I really enjoy cooking. I don't like the conceptualizing and I don't like the grocery shopping.
Or the prep.
Or the prep. So like, I mean, I still had to dice the veggies because they brought them fresh.
Okay.
All the seasonings were pre-done. Like all that stuff is just out the pack. And the only things you really need to have in your kitchen are salt, pepper, and oil.
I know that's for the Caucasians. But for the rest of us.
Right. So my family, we add black pepper to absolutely fucking everything and a little bit of Old Bay to absolutely everything.
Okay.
But my point is that you didn't really need it. Like you didn't feel like, this needs a lot of seasoning.
Okay. That was my question.
What we did was the blackened chicken penne poblano. It was like kind of a creamy penne with chicken. And then we did an Asian shrimp dish and we have carne asada bowls.
So is it coming like in a cooler with dry ice or something?
It comes in completely refrigerated, like this completely refrigerated. It's recyclable. You just like there's ways to recycle the packaging, which was great because I was concerned about that. Yeah, like so there's a bag that'll say the name of that dish and everything for that will be in it. The meat is separate from that so that you can put the meat away separately. And so if you sign up for our email list, I will email you a code for $40 off so that y'all can get started. And I will also
Nicole is dancing.
Oh, yes. I'm like, I am looking for ways to ease my life. And it's just me and my daughter.
Yes, no, for sure. And I will also send you the code for Instacart. So we can send you both codes if you sign up for the email list at Dem Black Mama's website, because we want your life to be easier. Let me tell you, a bitch is upgrading. And you know what I realized? I just want to share this last thing. If I could preach this thing like I feel it.
Okay. Go ahead.
Let me tell y'all something. Okay? Mothers, people, students. We got a lot of college students. Let me tell y'all something. Okay. There's things I used to do that I just don't do no more. The old me has passed away. Behold.
The new
has come.
Yes.
Okay. So it started with my nails. Yeah. I used to not get my nails done. I thought of it like a luxury, right? So I was like, I got all these things to do. But Sugar Free said, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Get ready.
I started getting my nails done every 2 weeks. I felt like when folks was calling me for opportunities, I was ready. It wasn't that like second step, like, ooh, is my haircut? Ooh, are my nails done? Ooh, do I have a blazer? Do I have the right shoes? Like I had what I needed to be ready to go. You know what I'm saying? And what that has taught me is those of us who are doing great work
I wish y'all could see Nicole doing the shout and
Oh,
the praise.
oh my God.
Right now.
Those
I
of us
wish
who
y'all
are
could
doing
just
great
see her.
work, creative work, here's what I want you to understand. Spirit wants your mind to be clear of any baggage, pain, problems. It wants you to let go of things, forgive things. It don't have time for that. It wants you to be 100% available for what it wants you to download for the world. And if that means a bitch needs a massage, Spirit's like, go get that massage.
Hey.
Here's some cash. If that means you need a trip somewhere and you need to have ease, then if you need a new MacBook, then you just say, I need a new MacBook to do this work you want me to do. Somehow the money comes. I'm just trying to, I don't know.
Calling it
But
in. You're calling it
you're
in.
calling it in, but also you're saying, I need to be more available. You can pay for your comfort, is what I'm saying. And when you do,
Yes.
you're more available to spirit because you're more relaxed. And then your mind is free of these worries that are bogging you down. So you squeeze it in your work. You squeeze it in your purpose. You squeeze it in your gifts when really it should be able to occupy your whole mind. And the only way to do that is to get yourself comfortable. So what do you need to be comfortable?
I think that that's something that we struggle with, especially
sure.
as Black women, as mothers, is thinking that
Yes.
we don't
Our
deserve,
comfort is a
like we have to
luxury.
Right, that we have to earn in order to deserve nice things. The other thing that I want to say is I agree with what Thea is saying. I just want to give a little note here.
Uh-oh.
Thea is very obedient to spirit.
I'm very obedient.
And so I think that that's really, really
I have
important
no
that
resistance to spirit.
when spirit gives her ideas and creativity and says, you need to create this, you need to write this, you need to do it, Thea does it.
You know, I appreciate you, Krista. You always add a good footnote because, you know, I'll be having people out here emptying their bank account with no obedience or discipline.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because the one thing that I have added to my life recently, and I'm about to add some other things also to ease up my life. So I don't do laundry anymore.
Girl, fluff and fold.
And let me tell you something, like the first few times I did it, I did have like, bitch, you could do your own laundry. It's just you and Kaylee labor. Let me tell you something. Now, every couple of weeks, I put that stuff in the bag. I bring it to the people. And let me tell you how it has changed my life.
It's kind of life changing.
Y'all, Nicole is serious. I wish y'all could see her face. Nicole is so serious.
No. She's fluff and fold. Let me tell you, I tell everybody, she's absolutely right. And most women I talk to, this is how they start with fluff and fold. I swear to God, it's the laundry.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
Because you drop off dirty shit, y'all. And you come back and it's folded and warm and cute and pretty. All you gotta do is throw that shit in a bag.
What?
This reminds me of the sacral chakra webinar that we did for Black Mama Creative Week, because here's the thing. This is not just some materialistic shit. Like coming home to a clean house, picking up clean laundry, like that impacts your sacral chakra. Because here's the thing. In that webinar, I remember you saying they want to keep us in that root chakra, just trying to survive, just trying to heal that, trying to figure out how to survive and feel like I'm worthy of being alive. But when we move to that sacral chakra, right, that inspires our creativity. And that's connected to how we feel on the inside. Absolutely. So when you walk into a clean house that you didn't have to clean, like you get a feeling.
Yes, that I can identify with. I got you.
That you can identify with. And that's why moving into the sacral is so important. This is all tied to pleasure. You know, the right to pleasure. I don't have to give you no reason. It pleases me. I get off on coming home to a clean house where all my laundry's done.
The end.
I don't have to justify that. It brings me pleasure. My nails don't bring me pleasure. You know the difference between when you're doing something that brings you pleasure and when you're using things like as a coping mechanism to deal with anxiety, to deal with stress. This is not that. This is like, you know what? A bitch do want to upgrade. Let me have that. Can you imagine Black women walking through the world like that? This is sacred work.
We would be able to impregnate ourselves if we walk through the world like that.
Nobody wants us to get our laundry done. So we determine it by, can I? I can drive with my feet, but the shit ain't parked. You know what I'm saying? Like I can do a lot of things.
And there's other work that you need to be doing.
That's quite honestly.
I feel like the church announcement.
I was going to say, I don't even know where we are in the show anymore.
I feel like it was the church service.
I don't know where we are either.
Well, I'm about to do the closing prayer.
Close our bones, girl.
This has been the devotional.
Praise and worship
for episode 28 of Dim Black Mamas.
I bet you we don't get a lot of emails.
We're going to get a lot of people sign up for emails. So now we're going to move into the portion that we really came for. I mean, I know that served your spirit, but the part that we really came for is our mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Nicole before I hand it over to Thea. Nicole Deggins is one of the country's leading birth advocacy experts. She is a dedicated leader, mentor, and consultant, and actively supports efforts to increase the numbers of African-American midwives, doulas, and birth advocates. Nicole is the creator of the Birth Plan Myth and Sista Midwife Birth Sister Doula Training. She is a former board member of Community Birth Companion in Appaloosis, Louisiana, and an active consultant for Global Infant Safe Sleep Center. She has provided consultation to many local and national birth agencies, including Healthy Start New Orleans, Birthing Project USA, Birthmark Doula Collective, the Intune Mothering Project, Birthright New Orleans, WIC, and others. Nicole received her BS in nursing from Georgetown University. Ooh, what was that like? And completed a dual degree program at Emory and Georgetown, where she fulfilled the requirements for the MS in nursing with a concentration in midwifery and an MPH with a concentration in health policy and management.
Wow.
And I say that about those experiences because you're so Black-centered, and those are
very white-centered.
Yeah, very, very white spaces. So I'm going to turn it over to Thea to lead us through this part, and we're excited to have you.
Welcome.
Hey, I'm excited.
We are super excited to have you
you
here, and we definitely have listeners who have expressed an interest in this work. They're going to be listening to every detail. So can you tell us about your journey?
Yeah, so it started, I guess I would say, when I moved to, my mother made me leave DC. I want to stay in DC. No, come home and work as a nurse. Okay. So graduated from nursing school, came home to New Orleans, and I worked inner city hospitals. So whatever your inner city hospital is of your city, that's where I was. Originally, I was going to medical school to become an OB, but I quickly was like, I don't want to go to medical school. I didn't like the hierarchy. I didn't like the hazing. I just didn't like the whole way that they operated. So I was like, you have to rethink this thing. But I knew that being a staff nurse was not going to be my forever thing. There was a white midwife who worked in the inner city, like the clinics attached to the housing projects. And so at that time I was like vegan, and my coworkers used to call me Mother Earth and tease me all the time. And you go take care of the midwife patient, all of this stuff. So the midwife said to me one day after working with her in the birth, she was like, Nicole, you should become a midwife. I think the girls would really like you. And I thought, thank you, Kathleen, that you're probably right.
It's killing me.
Kathleen.
So I did. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing. And so my mother was an educator, and so in my world, home birth midwifery never even crossed my mind. I'm dealing with the cocaine crack epidemic. So imagining home birth, like, oh no, nobody should give birth at home.
So was this in the 90s?
Yeah, this was 94.
Wow.
95.
Wow.
So I went to midwifery school in 97. I just jumped in really because I wanted to do better work for my people. Real talk, I knew nothing of the legacy of Black midwifery. I knew nothing of the legacy of our roots and birth work or any of that stuff. I just wanted to get a graduate degree so that I could have a bigger impact on helping these young girls. Like, they were 17, 18 coming in there with positive crack, cocaine, and it was crazy. And I loved my patients, and I was like, come on, y'all, we got to do better. And I know I can do better. So that's why I went to midwifery school initially. Oh, and things have just changed and blossomed and grown and shifted and swirled around over the past 20 years. But that's how it started. What I have also come to know, though, is that midwifery has been calling me my whole life.
Right.
How it really, really dawned on me, I was doing a doula training, and there was a white woman in my class who had this tattoo of a mermaid on her arm. And she is Irish. So I said, oh, tell me about your tattoo. So she begins to talk about the tattoo, and it's, she's from the ocean and she's for the mothers. And I'm like, okay, so it's Yemen Ya in Ireland. Okay.
Yeah, right, exactly.
This was the kicker. And then she said to me, In Catholicism, she is associated with Saint Bridget. And I almost hit the floor because I grew up Catholic and I grew up in Saint Bridget Parish.
Oh, wow.
I was a very proud Catholic little girl who loved Saint Bridget and loved being Catholic and loved Virgin Mary and all of these things. So I was like, oh my God, you have got to be kidding me. Saint Bridget, they've been calling me, right? And then when I was 9, my aunt lived with us. She got pregnant with my little cousin. My mom was in nursing school and she was having her baby, and it was middle of the night, and I woke up and my mama was, doing her piece, helping her, and I was helping and rubbing her back. And I'm like, wow. I look back on it now and realize I was her doula.
Yeah.
I can just look back at all of these touch points and realize that it was calling me for years, my whole life.
That's so beautiful. So you've seen the field grow, expand. You've been like building the awareness around the Black maternal health crisis. But how do you stay hopeful? You're doing the work and you're training and you're helping shift policy all at the same time. You're seeing all the sides of the beast.
So I stay hopeful because things are changing, right? As an example, when I was 18 and heard the word midwife, I had no idea what she was talking about. Now I have little girls in college emailing me because they want to be midwives. I'm meeting young people who want to be midwives. So that lets me know that the tide is shifting. When I first moved home, I became the second Black midwife in the entire state of Louisiana. And now we have Charlotte and Shatamia. We have people in school. We have Demetrius. It's only like 4, right? But in addition to there being 3 Black home birth midwives, Demetrius and myself, so there's 5 Black midwives that I know about. And then my sister Tam is about to finish her clinicals and she'll be another Black midwife. And there's like 3 different Black women in school right now. So that gives me hope.
For sure.
And when I had my very first class to train birth sisters in 2013, it was almost like pulling teeth. And I had my small class and every class after that. Now my New Orleans classes always sell out. And if I have 10 women, maybe 2 of them might not be Black, and they're coming here because they want to really do the work. And so that gives me hope.
Yeah, that's so important to look at the change as incremental. I think we don't do that enough.
You said that when you started, you didn't know a lot about the history of Black midwives. And I'm doing just some research on that now. And what I found was in South Carolina, during enslavement, there was at least 1 midwife on every plantation. And so they continued to practice after enslavement was over. And then there was a campaign of persecution and prosecution to drive them out. What do you know now of their legacy in terms of care or what they functioned as in the community?
Yeah, so they were pillars in the community. They did not just do birth work. They did family work. Y'all were laughing at Nikisha with her whole experience. That work that she received, that closing up the bones, the bathing, the oils, that was midwifery work. And so right now we have this whole made up thing called the doula, where the doula is taking the place of what we as midwives used to do. The midwives used to be so much for the community. They were the womb keepers. They had the information, the herbal information, the healing information for everybody. They didn't just heal mama. They also healed the babies and healed the partners. And,
they were community healers.
They and they were community healers. You can even hear it in the stories. They talk about how they took care of others, many of them.
So Nicole, you host a doula training. So I know you don't feel a type of way about doulas in general, but I heard you say something really interesting here. It sounds like some responsibilities of midwifery were separated out into now what we see as doula work?
So basically the way I see it is we need doulas because we no longer have care in our system. So doulas are now in the place of what we used to have. The way I tell the story is there have been different surgeons, different times throughout modern day history where women wanted to take back births, right? So in the 80s, white women in the hospital were like, no, we want our husbands to be able to be here. We want somebody to be able to be here. And so then they came up with the doula thing. And so I say it's made up because I really believe that we were doing this work long before then, and we will continue to do this work. We've always done this work. You don't need no postpartum doula. You had your postpartum auntie, or you had your grandmother, or you had your cousin, or whoever. As always, they've taken the work that we've always done. They've packaged it with this little name. So now we have this thing. And I am very clear that I capitalized on the name. I have a t-shirt that I sell, say doulas do it, right? I get it. I do quote doula trainings. And I'm also more and more trying to move us away from that word, because what this woman did for you, that was not typical doula work. That was energetic. That was spiritual. That was special. Trust and believe that when these doulas are getting trained in a typical doula training, they're not getting that information. So for me, what I see the role that the doula can play right now, because even with modern day midwife, I remember doing a birth with a licensed home birth midwife in Louisiana. And this is when I was contemplating getting into home birth. And I remember walking with her and thinking, this is not midwifery to me. Very textbook. Her visits were a strict hour.
Clinical.
It was very clinical. There was no spiritual aspect. She was a white woman. And she was like, oh my God, I want, keep working with me so you can get licensed. And I was like, nah, I can't really rock with you. Her way was not midwifery. And when you go to hospitals, if a physician has 6 minutes to see a patient, a midwife might have 10, but she's still not able to do midwifery, traditional midwifery work. And so what I feel like the doula has become, particularly Black doulas and Black doulas who come to like my training, when you have these kind of inclusive, holistic trainings, we come with a whole different perspective. So for me, I feel like the doula has the opportunity to incorporate the things that the midwives can no longer do, the doctors are not going to do. And what I like to say is we can put the care back in prenatal care and the care back in postpartum care. So it's not that we've taken it out of midwifery. We were forced to create because it wasn't given. We were losing it.
I do a talk on prioritizing joy in birth. I think it ties into what you're saying, because it's not, the conversations around this is life or death, which is true, but it's also about pleasure. This mother should be able to enjoy this experience. This child should come into a pleasurable environment. And so I try to lift the standard from survival to thriving, because we want this mama to have more children if she wants to. We want her body to be able to. We want her family to be able to make that decision. We want them to have just a wonderful experience so that they want to have this experience again, if that's what they want to do, So let me ask you this. What do you think are 3 of the biggest barriers preventing birthing persons from seeking out midwives?
I think across the board in the Black community, we still don't even know midwives and doulas and what they are, that they're even different. Most people that I encounter, they're like, oh yeah, I want a midwife or a doula. And I'm like, well, you can have both. They play 2 different roles. So I think one of the biggest issues off the bat is they don't even know what midwives are and what
the first barrier is just awareness and knowledge, right?
Yes, that's real, just real talk. Awareness and then accessibility. Like now I know that they have them, but do they have one here?
Awareness, knowledge, accessibility.
And so then another piece of accessibility is financing. So I tell people all the time, like, listen, I know you think you want a home birth and all that's well and good, but home births are not free. So if you are of childbearing age and you think you want a home birth, you need to put to the side your home birth fund today before you even get pregnant, because a home birth in Louisiana could run you $6,000 cash money, no insurance. Start thinking about these things if that's what you want. Finances is an issue, and insurance is not covering these things. Medicaid is not covering these things. So financing is really an issue. Knowledge is an issue, and then fear.
I was gonna say stigma, right? Like
just all around birth in general. Because people are like, well, I don't want a midwife because I need the drug. And, I back away from that a little bit and let them think that. And I explain to them that basically just because you want the drugs doesn't mean you can't have a midwife if you're going to go to the hospital. We have hospital-based midwives. So yes, if you're at home, then you can't have the drugs. But if you're in the hospital and you really desire an epidural or some IV medicine, your midwife will let you have that if that's what you want. But let's talk about why you think you need those things. I have to tell you why you don't. But that's a whole nother piece of the conversation. But I even tell my doulas, like, listen, when you're given the statistics about what doulas help do not lead with doulas help moms have fewer pain medication. That's not enticing for people. Like, that's not what you lead with. You lead with, I can prevent a cesarean section. They want to hear that.
Can you talk about what a midwife does and what a doula does? Because I think sometimes when you're in the birth world, like we just say the names and we say that people don't know, but then we don't say exactly
Yeah.
what they do. And so what does a midwife do and what does a doula do?
Yep. So I'll start by saying a doula is non-medical, non-clinical.
Mm-hmm.
They provide informational, physical, emotional, and spiritual support. Now, be very clear that when I talk about doulas, I'm talking about the type of doulas that I train. I can't speak for every doula. I can't speak for all of the ones who have been trained by other organizations, but I can tell you about what we do. So at any rate, they provide support. They're non-clinical, non-medical. They don't diagnose. They should not be providing medical advice, but rather should be supporting the choices of the family and providing them with information so that the family can make the choices that they deem best for them in that moment. The midwife, on the other hand, is clinical and is medical, and she is going to be the person who will be measuring the baby, listening to the heart tones, checking surveillance, doing your labs, making sure that you are healthy physiologically throughout the birth. She may also provide informational, emotional, physical, and spiritual support. And she also is the clinical care provider who is responsible for the safe passage of mother and baby through this process. She will diagnose, she will give medical advice. And then I like to point out that a doula can be made in 2 days, depending on the training. A midwife, 2 years minimum. So if you just put that into perspective, you can understand that there's a huge difference in what they would know educationally.
Nicole, I think what you just said was really, really interesting and important to note. I mentioned earlier that I interviewed a lot of folks in trying to get to the right doula for me. And part of what I was gauging when I talked to these folks was energy and whether or not we connected and whether or not, they really understood what I was asking for. And having been a person who'd had a number of cesareans, I knew I would need to have another, most likely. However, the first, I want to say 3 doulas that I interviewed to support me through what I knew would be a cesarean birth spent their time trying to talk me into a home birth vaginal.
Wow. That's really interesting.
This person isn't hearing me at all. They have an agenda. They have a midwife they love to work with that they're trying to hook me up with. They have all these things these notions that are preconceived well before they got to my house.
And I think that's so interesting because a lot of times when we're talking about birth and midwives, we assume that they're going to be better for us, that they are not going to impose their will on us, right?
Or your political views about it, or
political views. I think it's critical to understand that doulas do make a difference. We do need more Black birth workers, but what we need most is to decolonize our approach.
Yeah.
When you're in that moment, everything in me may say, I don't think this person should do this, and all of that is running through your head because but you have to be so centered and so spiritually focused and in tuned into what this person is saying and their needs and not your ego, that if you are not, you're doing as much damage as the people that you think you're fighting against.
And that's real. I tell people all the time, like, just because somebody is a midwife or a doula does not mean that they are everything that you need.
And it also doesn't mean that they're healed.
Ooh,
right.
Say that.
We have good intentions, but we have old wounds. And we are partly trying to heal ourselves. I mean, I definitely feel like I became the therapist I needed at a certain point. That drove me. I didn't know unconsciously, but like I became the type of person I'd want to walk into their office. And I think for some of us, we may force decisions on people that they don't want because, we didn't have that right to make that decision. See, this is about that spiritual work again. You got to be clear. You got to be a vessel. You have to channel these ancient midwives, their technology. And you can't do that with your own agenda. And I guess I'm wondering too, like, is that something that you tackle in your trainings? Also, I'm like, I want to hear, not that I'm trying to stir the pot. I ain't trying to stir no pot. Clearly your trainings are different. And this is one of the reasons we wanted to partner with you. I know you go in, but I want to know what you do that they may not get at these other spaces. I think that's really important.
So one of the things that I am very proud of, and I don't take it lightly. I don't say this in a braggadocious kind of way, but one of the things that I am very clear that we do in my class is we create a sacred space. We create a sacred, safe space, folks being here, healing, sharing their stories. I mean, it is so powerful. What I love the most is I tell them, like, be very clear. This training, as it brings stuff up for you, is not going to heal you, But what I wanted to do is to remind you that you still have healing work to do, because you can't bring this stuff into her birth. Whether it's birth trauma, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's body image issues, all of these different mama issues, parenting issues, all of those things impact how you work with other moms and families. And so I'm very clear that it got to come up. So they be in my class and they're like, oh my God, this is the first time I've ever talked about my postpartum depression. Oh my God, this is the first time I'm realizing I had birth trauma. Oh my God, this is the first time I realized I was in a domestic violence relationship. Good girl, bring it up, get you a counselor, go get that fixed. Not that you have to be perfect to help anybody in this work and all the way
but
heal.
You got to know what your imperfections are.
Yes, you got to be able to identify and know your triggers, because if you're still being triggered by something and then you have a mom who tells you about this thing, you can't be triggered every time you hear or see that thing. You have to be able to still hold yourself together and walk. So that's definitely one of the ways that my training is very different. And my students will tell you, like, oh my God, it's like it's life changing. It's not a game. And yes, I go in. I go in on the hospital system. I go in on interventions. I bring in some metaphysical stuff about this oxytocin and the pineal gland and melanin and some things that folks, don't always think about. Historical trauma. I like to talk about how we carry history in our wombs, and we can also create history through our wombs. So what kind of history do we want to create? And that's where when I talk about birth being the revolution, I tell people, I'm like, I know y'all think that sound cute, but it's not just because it sounds cute. It's some real things that are happening, and they are literally, they are stealing our babies from the womb. Literally, in the way that they are forcing us, or we are allowing ourselves to be forced, and they have forced upon us these new birthing ways. Like we talk about ultrasounds as an example. It's a lot of people take ultrasounds lightly, and I'm like, man, y'all need to stop playing. Personally, the fact that the technology for ultrasounds was created out of ward-based technology, right? That's problematic for me, because that means that the energy of this thing is adversarial,
Hold on. Pause for the cause.
We need a
pause for the cause.
Niggas didn't know. And by niggas, I mean me, Crystal, and Nikisha didn't know. Nikisha, you know that? Look at Nikisha's face. She didn't know.
I know I done had way too many ultrasounds for all my high-risk pregnancies. I've had 4 high-risk pregnancies, and every one of them, they got to monitor the baby multiple times a week. This is really fascinating.
We got to pause on that, because we latch on to these things because we're so excited, because they tell us information that we didn't have access to, right? We're insatiable when it comes to information. Like, we hate to be in the not knowing. We always think about the technological impact, but we don't ever think of the spiritual impact. And the spiritual impact is deeply connected to the intention of why this thing was created. Like, I firmly believe the reason that people cannot figure out the pyramids is because they don't know the intention behind them. So they'll never figure out, how did they build this thing and it's still standing? Because we're not connected enough to know their intention behind it,
or the ritual. I'm sure that was attached
and
to that.
And the ritual. They just wanted the process.
Right. Always,
just give me the process.
Always.
Just give me the process. That's all I need. I just need the formula. And until we tap into that intention, you can't really understand something like that, because it's more than something tangible. And so I think that when we don't know the intention behind something, like anything medical oriented, any kind of medical device, anything that oriented, we don't ask ourselves, I wonder how they came up with that.
Well, we know that they experimented on Black women to get hackers.
Well,
we know that.
And so I feel like we really got to pause on that, because I think sometimes birth is the thing that we're the most unintentional about.
Yes. My thing is this. I break it down like this when we talk about ultrasound. So we know that the pregnancy and birth process is miraculous. And that is a small word. There is no word for me in my vocabulary that can really encompass all of the magic involved in creating life. And so then I ask a very simple logical question. So the way this thing is, if we were supposed to see the baby while it grew. Do you not think that spirit would have made the stomach like go translucent? Like, can you imagine that? Right? Like during pregnancy, your belly grows and then like it just goes translucent and then you can see. It would do that if we were supposed to see inside. The darkness is intentional.
Oh, because everything comes from the dark.
Come on.
Everything was birthed from the darkness. Everything's created in the darkness. That is in the Shakti energy. Exactly. That is tantric energy. That is Spanda. That is Yang feminine. It is all created in the darkness. And you're right, because when you were saying it, I was like, oh, they're still trying to get a peek at God. Ooh. You don't have to get a peek at God.
Yes.
Right, Crystal?
You feel, you experience God. You don't have to get a peek at God. Y'all still trying to see and prove.
Yeah, so we do all that stuff. We talk about all that in my training. We sure do. I bring it up.
I did a presentation at a doula training, and one of the things I said was, the baby is talking to us. Contractions are your baby speaking to you, speaking to us, telling us what's going on. And your breath back into your body is you speaking back to the baby. So there is communication going on. We have to be at a high enough frequency where we can receive the way that it's coming through. But if you're at a low frequency, then it's like, I don't understand what's going on. So I need to hook you up to this monitor the whole entire time so you can lay in this bed so I can see exactly what's going on. And it's
I've seen midwives look at somebody and be like, oh, she's going to go into labor.
Yeah.
Like I've seen them just look at them. Learning all this stuff, I tell you, not this lifetime, but I pray I have all this information next lifetime, because I will do things very well.
You have it for your daughters.
Yeah, that's where the change is coming too. I mean, I remember when my mom was sick and dying, and I was having a conversation with a friend, and I was frustrated because my mother, being a nurse practitioner and a professor, she was not really open to anything outside of traditional chemo, hospital, whatever. And so I'm doing all this research about juicing and essential oils and THC and just on and on and on. And she's like, And so one of my friends, so she was like, well, Nick, that information ain't for her anyway. It's for us. So I can have it. I have an illness. If my daughter has an illness, and I am more open and aware of these different modalities and options.
Are midwives able to provide more than pregnancy care?
Absolutely. Depending on where they are, what type of training they received, what they feel like doing. In general, midwives can do all well woman care.
See, we don't know that.
And many midwives also do newborn care. Like my girlfriend, she's a nurse midwife in Georgia. She used to do circumcision. Midwives can do so many things, but it depends on what type of midwife you are, what school you went to, what state you live in. All of those dynamics impact it. But newborn care and all of well woman care. And some of them don't do a lot of regular well woman care just because they're so busy with birth.
Yeah.
That they choose not to put it into their business, but they definitely can.
Imagine if that shifted.
Yeah, it can.
It is.
We just have to tell them that we need it. Right. It is shifting.
Yes. My mind is blown right now. The fact that you have this knowledge, I didn't have to go learn that knowledge because I was going to meet you. And then you were going to share that knowledge with me.
Yes.
Had you ventured off into something you weren't supposed to be doing to be here to supply me with that thing right now? This is why it's important to walk your walk.
Yes.
But not only that, just to bring it full circle, that's why it's important to get Fluff and Fold and Housekeeper and Hello Fresh.
Bitch, listen. Had you not, no, for real, this is why you need to let that stuff go, make yourself comfortable. Because let me tell you something about spirit. Spirit don't like dirty spaces. Spirit don't like cluttered spaces. So you have to make a choice about if you want to keep a dirty, cluttered mind, a dirty, cluttered heart, and you can do that. And guess what? Spirit will still peek through wherever it can, but you will never experience the fullness until you get that thing clean and clear.
Nicole, I want to ask you a couple of questions about the doula training. Crystal asked, are there other things that midwives do besides the birthing experience? I'm hearing a lot of different types of doula work. I wonder if your training discusses the different ways that people are quote unquote doulas now and different work that you're preparing your students to be able to do when they're done.
So let me give you my take on this thing.
She took off her glasses.
I saw it coming.
I'm like
shaking her head. I know it was coming. I'm ready.
I just want to give y'all the visual. You feel me? Because Black people, we're visual people. Like when we talk, we use our hands, we use our hair, we use our bodies. You know what I'm saying? We're visual people. So sometimes when it's just audio, you can't get the full effect. So she was sitting back in her chair.
She literally heard Nikisha said different types of doulas. And first a vein.
But the vein
populated on the corner.
My forehead. I know.
But then she rose up out of the seat. First, she rubbed her head to see if she could bring it through just with the massage, just to tap into that crown. Because, she still wants
I ducked
to have
down, y'all. You couldn't even see them but my eyes, because I knew.
Like, she wanted to have some sort of compassion, right? And then she realized it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
And that's when
then she took off her glasses. When she took off the glasses, she went back to St. Bridget Parish.
Yeah.
Right? Oh. Because she said it's not coming through. So whatever's coming up is just going to come up. So I'm not going to pretend. So I'm just going to take off these glasses. And she laid her head, and not on her whole hand, tips, but just with two fingers.
You know that picture of Malcolm when he's trying to figure out how he about to lead the nation?
She just used the two fingers, like the thumb is on the temple and the four fingers on the forehead. And she leaned forward.
Yes.
Okay, we ready.
So go ahead, Nicole. We ready.
Oh man, y'all are good. Y'all are body watchers.
We don't play.
I can't. So in our community, we don't even know what a doula is. And now you got folks confused. When I thought a doula was for somebody having a baby. Now you said somebody having an abortion. Well, what about? Well, now I heard it's somebody for somebody dying. Well, what's a sex doula? What? All of that to me is tomfoolery, and we should stop it. This is room work. This is women's work. We are women helping women. I train people to be with people wherever they are on the spectrum of creating life. So whatever you feel like you need to do to support somebody, you a woman, if the sister that you have a friend and she needs a support around her abortion and that's what you want to do, support her if that's your thing. Why you got to call yourself an abortion doula? Even postpartum doula, prenatal doula, pregnancy doula, twin doula, adoption doula. What are you talking about? Because if you a death doula, that really means you do hospice work, which is very important. But how about it's a word for that already. It's called hospice. Why are you making up some other shit? Like, it drives me insane. That's just me. Everybody's not going to be in agreement with me on that thing right there. That's me.
In your opinion, and based on your experience, what is the motivation behind creating all these alternatives?
I think that some other folks like to compartmentalize things, put labels on everything, and putting things into silos. See, that's how Western European medical establishment is, right? So you have the obstetrician, and you have the neurosurgeon, and you have the cardiology. What happened to just family practitioners helping families be healthy? Because at one time, the family practitioner took care of you from the cradle to the grave. They did everything. They knew the family, as did midwives. And so this notion that we have to put everything in all of these different silos and label ourselves. And so in my class, we do everything from prenatal through postpartum. And I understand and I get that as a birth worker, we have lives. And so you may choose to focus your work in a certain kind of way. So I have women who have trained with me. Their perspective is fertility work, helping families get pregnant. I have people who have trained with me who do mostly just postpartum work, but without understanding that how you get pregnant, how you birth, and how you parent is all connected in one way, it's problematic. We should be able to help someone through loss. Yes, certainly. You want to do loss work heavily because this is something near and dear to your heart, the losing of babies. And so you take a training with a sister like Nicole and you get her information and you are more versed in that. But you don't have to change your name. Now you a lost doula. You get more information, right? So that we can support families. But if you don't have to get a new title.
I get that.
You're not all of a sudden a lost doula. You are still a woman helping families through birth.
What you're saying is like get the information because the intention is to deepen and expand your practice. But you're still
the intention behind it is capitalism. That's it. Because if I can say, I provide postpartum care, then that's more money for me. But the truth is, especially I think when it comes to loss, if I'm serving a client and she loses the baby or the baby dies a couple of days after birth, I'm not going to ask her to bring in someone new. I wouldn't transition out. Like, you should already know that. That should be a part of your training.
But it's not. But it is a part of mine. We do a segment on loss and supporting families through loss.
Because that's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
I think that's good information, though. So people who are interested in doula training, you're looking for a doula training that helps you to feel competent.
Yes. Yes.
which touches on all these areas. Like for me, I'm a therapist, but maybe I specialize in discussing sexuality. But I'm still known as a therapist. But I think what you're saying is you're raising the standard of care and expectation for those who are going out there looking for doula training.
Yeah.
So those of you who are interested in doula training, like anything else, you need a seasoned, holistic approach. And that's how you know it's not about the money and the standard of care is higher.
And also that's how you know that some of the spirit has been taken out of the work. Because if spirit is in the work, then you're trained in all the possibilities. Just like any Ifa, you don't just have knowledge about the Orisha that you feel close to. You should have knowledge about how all of them work together and all of the possibilities of what can happen through the spirit and the energy of each of them. Can you tell us a little bit about the Birth Story Project?
Yes. So the Birth Story Project actually came out of a conversation that I had with the mom, a client who I had helped with her birth. She had a home birth. And afterwards, she came to me. She was like, Mama Nicole, people need to know some stuff. Like, she has a degree in filming and filmmaking, and she desired to create a platform, a docuseries where she could showcase various different birthing options. And she was just like, we don't know about this stuff. People don't know. When she was telling people she was doing a home birth, it was like crazy, horn growing out of her head type vibe. So she just wanted to bring not just home birth information, but just all kind of birth information. I was looking for an opportunity to just collect birth stories, to be able to use in some of my advocacy efforts. And so now that's what we do at least once a month. It's a safe space for Black women to come and share their birth experiences. And one of my visions is that we will be able to document these stories so that when I go into the hospitals, which I am doing, that will be the second phase of it. Prayerfully by next year, we'll be able to make that happen, where we're actually having meetings with hospital CEOs and those who are over the obstetrical units and saying, hey, this is what women are saying. And what happens is I get phone calls weekly from doulas who I have trained. And they're like, okay, this is what my mama is hearing. This is what happened to my mama. And I'm like, listen, I cannot go to a meeting and say, well, my doula said that the mama said that the doctor said. That's not going to work, right? I need information. I need the mama to come on record and say what happened. And so we're working on getting some sponsorships, some new marketing avenues to really start getting women to come out and sharing their stories. And then I'm super, super excited about launching our survey. So in addition to the circles, we're launching a statewide survey, and the statewide survey is going to be for any mom. So no matter if you're Black, white, Vietnamese, Dominican, whatever, fill out the survey. We want the stories. We're asking, like, who was your doctor? What hospital? What did they say? Did they tell you about VBAC? Did they let you walk around? Did you want to walk around and they told you couldn't walk around? Like, what was going on? And so then I can bring this data, like they want numbers.
Data.
Right?
Yes, they do. Yes,
so then we have this data that we can say, 30% of the moms who delivered at your facility said that they were interested in labor, but you all told them no, that they couldn't ambulate. But the research tells us that ambulating in labor is safe and beneficial. So why is that a policy in your facility in 2019?
I love it because it combines our way, which is narrative. So we are extracting the data through narrative, and then we're translating it for the people into their language, which is metric. And it doesn't cost our people to do, like, they don't have to be lost in translation. No. We'll do the translating for you.
What I love about it too is I'm going around the state doing these meetings for this initiative that I'm getting ready to launch early next year. And we were up north Louisiana, and there was a woman who came to the Birth Story Circle. Her son is like high school age, and she is still holding birth trauma. And when she came to the circle, she said to me that this was the first time I ever felt safe to tell my story. Ever. And so we also are creating that for women. We talk about how we need a healing, like we need a healing. Real talk. And so it allows that. If some women just come, they come and listen, they come and learn, and they come and unleash and get it out of them, things that they've not ever had an opportunity to get out.
Because of chakra work and understanding chakra work, and because of being aware of this crisis, I have seen clients who I would have totally missed that there was a birth trauma. And they probably wouldn't have said it. They probably would not have mentioned it. But knowing how the chakras work, knowing how you carry your body when certain chakras have been shut down or closed down, and knowing the numbers for Black women. So if I knew this woman has a kid, I could see it's coming from the sacral, I start to ask about the birth story. And it's been at least on 3 or 4 occasions that I literally would have never thought to ask this, I would say 3 years ago. But because I've asked it, and because I know to ask it, I've been able to do repair work around that being an issue. And I've also been able to get my job to see this. I do come into contact with women who are parents, with students who are parents. I work on a college campus right now, but we underestimate how many returning parents are back on campuses. And so sometimes these traumas are 15 years old.
And let me tell you something that I think is so beautiful that you do this and you have this awareness, because I get that we have a maternal mortality crisis. I sit on the Louisiana Maternal Mortality Review Board. It is heavy work. It is powerful work. It is honorable work, right? That's part of the work that I do. And in the midst of that, as we continue to raise awareness about that, what I think is important is that we use that really as a springboard to understand. So when I talk about birth is the revolution, to give you my whole thing, I always say that birth is the revolution. And if we rise up, that is to revolt against the status quo and shift the way we think about conception, pregnancy, and birth, we can elevate the vibration of our community.
Absolutely.
And so while we
I know that
have
was
this,
for the
cause.
Pause for the cause, Nicole. Pause for the
You
cause.
can't run past that. You can't run past that. Slow down.
Now, I know you done gave that spiel 50 billion times, but it's the first time on the podcast.
Okay.
Don't need a minute.
okay, all right.
I'm giving folks a chance to rewind, just in case.
Yes.
Okay, continue. Woo!
So this thing is so real to me. And there is this thing called the State of Black Health. We had a community forum, but they also do a national conference. And so I was on the maternal health panel yesterday, and I said to them, I get and I know that we have 700 to 900 women who die every year as a result of a complication from childbirth, but we have 700 times 70, 50, 60, 70,000 women who have near-death experiences, and 50% of women leaving the hospital with birth trauma. And that birth trauma impacts how we interact with ourselves, with our bodies, with our partners, with our children, with our being. You can't breastfeed when you traumatize.
Absolutely.
You can't parent well when you traumatize.
No.
You can't love your partner well when you traumatize. You can't be in community when you are traumatized. And so we do have to pay attention to this death that's happening, but we cannot forget that this birth trauma is real. And to me, if we change how we understand birth, understand that there are ways to prevent the trauma and we can heal the trauma.
Yes, we can heal it. And I'm gonna tell you, because of the chakra that's most impacted, the number one thing that comes out when I do this is they took my choice.
Yes.
What that does to a person is enslaves them.
Yes.
It makes them feel like they can't choose. And when they want to choose again, anything for themselves at that level, they feel like, nah, I'm just not gonna.
It took me like 7 years to get my power back after my C-section. Because you feel like this is the most vulnerable state that I'm ever going to be.
You said it, you're laid out. Yeah.
Right.
Laid, arms out.
And don't get me wrong, there's a way I feel to do a cesarean that is much more powerful and in tune with the woman. But the fact that my choice was taken before I ever even entered that hospital.
Yes.
And that was from the time I said, oh, I want to have my baby at home. I knew nothing about home births. I didn't know if there were midwives in South Carolina. I thought, oh, a doctor will come here. Like I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Something instinctually said, I want to have my baby right here in this bathtub, right? And everybody around me talked me out of that decision. And not out of malice, but just out of not knowing. And then you just go along, and then it's like, I don't want to know the gender. Oh, we need to know the gender because da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
So you just go along and like slowly but slowly. So I want people to know that sometimes your choice is gone before you even enter those hospital doors.
It starts off with slowly usurping and slowly convincing the person that they can't trust their own will.
Right.
So by the time you get to, we're in the hospital, you're laboring, and I'm telling you, you need an emergency C-section, you're going to trust me more than you've trusted yourself. But that's been happening.
That's been happening slowly.
Single visit over the course of time. Even after, if they want to test your baby and do all these things on your baby, you feel like, well, I don't want that to happen. There's threats of child abuse and child endangerment.
And even the fact that I didn't have anyone who told me to get in touch with my body. Like the first thing I do with my clients on the first visit is breathe. And they're like, we're going to breathe. Yeah, we're going to breathe. Because it's the most important thing you can do. And this is how you learn to listen to your body. And so if you don't do nothing else, I'm going to need you to know how to breathe.
Yes.
So the fact that there was no one to tell me that. So that even when I got in the hospital, like you go to a birth class, but it's a hospital-based birth class. So what that birth class does is to tell you how best to not bother us during your birth process.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
You know what I'm saying?
So when my clients come in for therapy, I explain to them first session that we co-create your healing.
Yes.
I am not responsible for your healing. I am not an expert in your healing. We're going to co-create this process. There are students who will opt out of that. And because they want someone who is going to control and take responsibility for the process. And so all medical professionals have to do is be willing to suspend some ego and recognize that everything about this birth is not going to come through what you learned in school. A lot of what you're going to do in this birth is going to come from what this mother is telling you. So if you're open to co-creating with this person, you're going to change the experience. Now, there may be the person that comes in who wants you to have all the control and the power. If you're in the medical profession, and if you're in the mental health profession, I'm going to let you know, the way this country is set up is that you're an expert. And so people from different backgrounds have been taught that, okay, then they know better than me about me. You have to know that. And you have to fix that the first session. You have to give them their power back. And the first session, let them know you can fire me if I'm not meeting your needs. You hold the power. But you have to be willing to do that, because that changes the whole process. That means if we've started off co-creating and you understand as a doctor that this mother is the expert of her experience, when she tells you something hurts, you're going to take her seriously. You're not going to say it's a medical impossibility because X, Y, and Z. And there are ways to co-create healing, but it requires that people be willing to surrender some of this ego that they're pumped up with when they go through the process of becoming. And I see it in mental health all the time. If something's not working, you say the client's resistant. The client may not be resistant. What you're doing isn't working, and you have to be more creative.
Yes.
I think that, Nicole, you working with a hospital as a midwife I think that's so important, because I think having children at home is beautiful, but I also understand that's not going to be everybody's experience right now in the near future for a plethora of different reasons. And so something has to change for people who have to engage the system. So there has to be work done in that area. I appreciate that one hand you're creating these new Black birth workers, and then on the other hand, you're doing work to engage the system so that you can transform it.
We really don't have a choice. We have to tackle this thing from every single side. And that also includes the work that we have to do for ourselves, right? So the hospital needs to change. Implicit bias needs to go away. That's not going away overnight. We need to have more home birth options, more midwifery options. And there is work that we can do personally. Like I talk about, when we do the second day of training, we start off with preconception care and the menstrual cycle. The moon cycle. And I'm like, at every step of the way, because y'all kind of touched on this, at every step of the way in this abusive relationship, they're undermining your knowledge of your body. So when you go into your first OB appointment and they ask you, what was the first day of your last menstrual period? And you say, I don't know. Then immediately you have given them a piece of power. Check right there. Boom, they got you. Because now we have to send you to an ultrasound. And now now you don't know anything. So it's from these simple things. So girl, get your cycle, know your cycle. Know last time you had your bleed. Like literally at every step of the way, they're looking for a way to undermine your knowledge of self. And that's how it starts.
That's it. That's the weakening of the sacral.
You know what I appreciate most about you, Nicole, is the language. The language is indigenous Southern language, Southern Black language. Because when you say
bleed,
yes.
I caught that too.
Auntie. I'm stuck on auntie. That's my favorite word.
Auntie.
It's my favorite word. I mean, she black. She blackity black, y'all. The course is blackity black.
Yeah, I'm
it
so
really is. I'm full. I am so full.
And she just gave us snippets, honey. Just snippets.
I know. I
know.
I sure did.
You did. When you play this back, you're going to be like, I went in.
All right, now it's time to transition to Black Mama Say, where we put our own stank on common sayings by Black mamas. This week's Black Mama Say is, y'all ain't gonna make me lose my mind. Crystal, you got anything?
Yes. My y'all ain't gonna make me lose my mind is about the 2020 election.
I knew it, damn it. Mine was coming for the same thing, but go ahead.
Listen, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. It is 500 people running for this Democratic nomination.
Girl, damn it, Crystal. This is exactly what I was going to talk about. This is exactly 50-11. 50-11. That's what Beyonce. 50-11, y'all.
What I'm not going to lose my mind over is watching a debate with 15 people in it.
Literally, this is the exact.
Let's be real. It's not even a debate.
How you divide airtime between 15 more folks?
Right. Let's be real. I don't have 3 hours for 2 days to give y'all. Y'all knew this election was coming. Y'all have known since 1776. We've been having elections, you knew. But I'm not going to lose my mind looking at 20 candidates. So let me tell you what you need to do. You need to, let's just keep it 100. Some people are not going to like what I'm about to say. But if all things were equal, which we know they are not, the 2 people on that stage would be the 2 women running.
Right. Right.
People ain't gonna like it.
People ain't gonna like it.
All things being
There's a lot
equal.
more than 2, though. There's a lot of women.
You know who I'm talking about. You know which 2 women
Do
I'm talking about.
I know which 2.
You know,
we haven't even
Elizabeth
accepted.
Warren and Kamala Harris.
I knew it.
And I'm not saying you have to vote for either of those people. I'm not endorsing either of those people. But if we keep it 100, those are the people who should be up there. You know what, Nikisha? I'll go a step further for you. I'll go a step further for you. Everybody who can check white or male.
So the Asian gentleman can stay?
He can stay. His suits be tight. He can stay.
Okay.
I looked up and I was like, who this?
I'm okay with that.
What I'm saying is, y'all not going to make me lose my mind over this nomination. I've told you before, I am not voting for a white man. Y'all have run this shit into the ground. I'm not doing it again. I'm not losing my mind watching these debates.
No.
I don't care if your boss used to be Black.
Crystal,
I don't care
Crystal
if you heard I Have a Dream live. I don't care.
Thea, tell us your.
So Crystal had taken
okay.
but I got another one. You know, I'm a proud LA resident. Nipsey's LA, not this made up shit folks be talking about.
Nipsey,
and
I like that. That's a hashtag.
And so
we need to talk to Black Sam to see if we can get a T-shirt that says that.
We can do that. I grew up in this traffic, so it ain't ever really been a thing to me, you know, the side street dip and all this stuff. But I'm gonna tell y'all what, that whole West, that whole Cahuenga, Melrose, Fairfax, Beverly, that shit right there, y'all not gonna make me lose my mind. Y'all not going to take my kindness for weakness. Y'all dip over in my lane one more goddamn time with second warning. And you're going to see what's going to happen. I have never been a honker. But I feel myself changing. I don't know if we need to pack snacks, water. I need to put something in the vehicle. But I'm going to tell you, I feel like y'all be sliding in my lane. And it's already, the shit is tight. You know it's tight. We all trying to make it.
The lanes are real narrow here, just like the parking spaces. The LA would do whatever they can to save an inch.
You know it's already tight. And for you to like last minute dip in my lane, you gonna mess around and get your feelings hurt. And then here's the other thing. Let me tell you something. If I am gracious in the middle of this traffic to let you over, what you not gonna do is not give me the courtesy way. Okay? All you got to do is that hand. And acknowledge that somebody gave up space for you. But when you just walk through like
no home training.
I know it.
Because of that, I ain't letting people over no more. Because of that, I'm like, I don't know how you gonna do it. And then those of you who know, okay, it's tight. There's no breakthrough. There's no way through. But you like to come and sit in the lane next to the lane, okay, and sit there and look and try to make eyes like out to be parallel to me in the wrong damn lane, okay, because what you trying to do is beat traffic because you done put in the lane that's coming towards you. So I should just sit here and let your ass get hit by oncoming traffic. But now I feel like you made me feel like, I got to let you over because and then what you do is you look over at me and then you do this like, and then you ask, bitch, how you gonna ask when half your car is positioned to run into my car if I don't let you over?
That's all very LA. It's all very LA.
And you're not gonna make me lose my mind because literally I have a Prius. I know I can't run that shit into nothing if you don't do it. I feel like some bitch, I'm in a Mack truck, and like I feel like if I ram it hard enough, I can. I don't want to feel like that. I am trying to live on the higher plane, y'all. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm making some essential oil spray.
Spray yourself in the car.
We talking about getting some snacks. You know what I'm saying? We talking about having some cool water available because if not.
You could put some edibles in the car. It would all be different. It would all be different. They're legal here.
Yeah, some edibles in the car. Because them folks over there, you know they are. Them folks over there are hella entitled. When they don't do that courtesy way, I take it. It's deeply offensive to me when they don't do that courtesy way.
All of your 10,000 ancestors rise up out of your body.
All of the ancestors rise up. That bitch not waving us after we let her in. Is that how we live it? Is that how y'all raise? But I am not only am I going to lose my mind, I'm not going to lose my blessing, y'all.
Yes.
I need my cash to flow. I need my energy to flow. So I'm not going to let LA traffic predominantly in that area. Y'all know exactly where I'm talking about. 3rd, Olympic, Santa Monica Boulevard.
Ooh.
Y'all know. Y'all be out your goddamn mind over there. But you know what? You're not going to make me lose my mind or my blessing or my bag. Thank you. Thank you. And good day. Good day. That's how you
She
do it.
meant that. She meant that.
Okay, Nicole's turn.
Okay.
Our guest turn.
So as a birth worker, and we have all of these social media outlets where people always posting different things, and I'm not a big social media commentator. Mm-hmm. So when people post dumb shit, I'm not gonna lose my mind. I'm not gonna let y'all let me lose my mind over some foolishness that you've seen. Now, sometimes it's like real stupid. Like they had the situation where then people posted the picture of the white girl with the afro, with the afro wig, and all the black birth workers up. Y'all see, y'all don't know, y'all ain't on deep in the birth worker circle, right?
I ain't got that.
It was a donor post, and it was like, well, why everybody angry about it? Why y'all upset? They not what? Y'all not gonna make me lose my mind over that at all. I got work to do.
Those are people who have no fluff and fold.
Okay, so then they stuck in that space. Then sometimes you are posting something that's a little traumatic for me, and everybody wants to tag me. Right. So you got the brother with his wife in the hallway. It was so horrible and traumatic how these people were treated. I am very clear that we are being traumatized. I don't need to keep seeing.
Very clear.
Y'all don't need to keep tagging me, and don't get upset like when Ina May made her statement. Ina May is old and white. She made a statement about Black women, and I'm like, she's
why you surprised?
White. Like what? Why? Yes. Y'all should not be losing y'all minds, and y'all not going.
You know what, Nicole? I can tell you really have moved into the fluff and fold life. Oh, I can tell you. Let me tell you how I know. Because before I started living the fluff and fold life,
the fluff and fold HelloFresh life.
Before I started living the fluff and fold HelloFresh Instacart life. Before I started living that life, right? Things like that, I would feel some kind of way. But what happens when you live in that life is you be like, your joy just becomes so important. Yep. It becomes it's not negotiable.
The purpose of the fluff and fold is to free up mental space.
Yeah.
Clutter it.
So why would I clutter it?
Yes, no.
And here's the other thing about Dona and it's like, well, now you have the proof you've been waiting for.
Yep.
Like, okay, so let's move on. Like it doesn't have to be this whole big thing. And the thing about those things that people are upset about is you have elevated them to this position. Take that elevation away.
And when you see stuff like that, like you said, she's old and white. You know what your answer to that is? That's about right.
Yes. Okay, you got an issue with donors. So what are we doing to make sure that y'all big on this Medicaid and reimbursement? What are we doing to make sure that these Black-centered, Black-led doula trainings are certified under Medicaid, and it's not just donor? Can we talk about that? This is what they do. So can we talk about how we can get these, you know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Mhm.
that's
That's
about
it.
right. Okay, I'm with
I
you
love
on
it.
that.
I
Yeah,
love
that's
it.
right. I'm
I'm
with
with you.
you.
And don't tag
Don't,
her.
don't.
That
Don't
is
re-traumatize any of us.
traumatizing.
We don't want,
What's
no,
wrong with
no,
you?
don't tag any of us.
If the spirit wanted me to know, it would have showed up on my timeline.
My timeline.
That's it.
Thank you.
I love it. Well, that's all we got. People,
Lakeisha, you don't have y'all not
You
gonna make
don't
me
have
lose my
one?
mind. You always
why
have
y'all
a
gonna
good
call me out? I
one.
was trying to just brush past it.
Well,
I mean, I
know.
was just, y'all gonna put me on blast like that? I was just.
But I feel like these episodes run the same each and
Well,
every
you know,
time.
okay,
I mean,
they
I
do,
had
but
one, but
can
I
we give her a
didn't.
little
First of
Stella
all,
Grace?
I got a whole baby in here.
I know you got
You
a
know
whole
what?
thing.
You know what, Nikisha? You got 3 more months to use this baby.
No,
You got
that's
3
not-
more months to use this baby. You got 3 more months, Nikisha. You got
it.
3
I'm gonna
more
take
months.
as long
got
as
3
I
more months.
need. I'm gonna take as long as it sounds like WWF outside my door. I don't know what they doing. They hurting each other. There's crying. There is bleeding, I believe. I don't want to know what's going on over there. I got one here asleep. I can't do it all. I had one. It wasn't as entertaining. It was kind of heavy. I didn't feel like, I don't think I want to go. I want to go that direction right now. Y'all were funny.
Let her be, Crystal. Let her be.
Okay, I'm just saying, you
Let her
got 3
be.
more months to use these babies. That's what I'm saying.
Nikisha, just give the courtesy wave. Just give the courtesy wave. What happened was you switched lanes, and then you didn't give the courtesy wave. People didn't know how to respond.
That's
You
it.
gave it to
Lord,
us. Thank you. I vote to give you a year. I vote to give you a year. Well, from the birth. I just got to make sure we're not talking about a year from now. I just want to be clear on these dates. So the baby was born.
You can't give me and Nikisha a year, Thea.
That's
you
a
can
year is
give
appropriate.
us 3
A year
months
is appropriate.
because 3 months in our mind
I have a
is
deadline
a year.
now. Hush, Crystal. Hush. I got a deadline. A year.
Okay, so in 3 years she'll stop the baby. She'll be 3, and she'll stop.
I got a whole baby.
A whole baby over there.
I'm trying to tell you how Nikisha and I operate.
Who don't even tell all the secrets.
Yeah.
Look, she's waking up. I gotta go. Nicole, how do we reach you on social media? How do we reach you, my dear?
Oh, you reach me at Sista Midwife, Sista
Sista
Midwife. That's on Instagram, on Twitter. You can read what I said on my Facebook page, on Twitter, but I don't respond on Twitter. But you can see it. And then Sista Midwife Productions on Facebook, and Sista Midwife on Instagram, and Sista Midwife on YouTube.
She out here, y'all. She out here. All right, thank you.
She's so
I love
it.
I love it. I can't wait to see it be her training. You all follow the links to register today. Miss Nicole, I did want to ask you one last question. When someone has completed all 6 sessions, where are they in the process of becoming a doula?
So real talk, when you walk in the front door, you're already a doula. All I do is give you things to put into your tool bag. So I mean, that's really how I feel. But we do have a certification process. If you wanted, you can do a couple of births and get some books, and we have a conversation. And I could certify you through the Sista Midwife Production certification process. But when you walk in the door, you are a doula, and when you walk out, you ready. You
That's
ready.
it. I love that.
Yeah.
She's decolonizing it. She's decolonizing all of this. Well, listen, if you're looking for Dem Black Mamas, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dem Black Mamas.
And don't forget to check out our website, www.demblackmamas.com. You can also send us your thoughts about the show, show us some love, and ask some questions at demblackmamas@gmail.com.
And be sure you're subscribed and listening to our sister podcast, All Heart, hosted by our very own Thea Monyee and Noni Lamar. If you're a Black mom looking for love and support, join Black Moms Connection Facebook group. We are the podcast for that group. Also, follow them on Twitter and IG. And if you're a woman of color interested in starting a podcast, join the Woman of Color podcast group on Facebook. And you can also follow them on IG at WOC_podcasters and on Twitter at WOC podcasters. So that's all we got, folks. We ain't got no more.
Listen, these are some heavy hitters we've been dropping.
This is a good episode. This is good.